exercise with Dr. Nithyananda. And then he's going to give a lecture called Sustainable Mental Health and AI, talking about how artificial intelligence can support sustainable mental health systems. That'll be followed by Dr. Prema Kochandaraman, who's a urogynecologist at the Women's Health Excellence Center. She's going to talk about women's mental health issues. Then Dr. Patel, who's a psychiatrist who's representing Kailasa, Los Angeles, and also practicing in the community, who's going to talk about mental health and children's issues. And then finally, I'll give a conclusion and a call to action. And for everyone who is able to stay, we're going to have a kriya, which is a technique for stress reduction. That'll be really nice. So it should be a very enriching and enlightening experience for everyone. And we're very happy to have you here. For organizing this and for having us here. Just a couple estimates, 2.5 to 5 trillion US dollars annual cost of mental health. That's looking at direct costs of clinical care and hospitalization, as well as indirect costs of lost work. And I'm going to posit that the cost of less than optimal mental health is so much higher in terms of lost potential. And that if we really optimize people's mental health in a very comprehensive way, the benefit will be much beyond 2.5 trillion or 5 trillion and really unquantifiable. So now we're going to move, Dr. Nithyananda is going to give a brief intro to our concepts of mental health.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Bloomfield. Really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting us to participate in this session. We wanted to give a sense of daily challenges and relationships more often than not when it comes to mental health, because that's what happens on a regular basis. But to emphasize that mental health is not just short-term, but it's also long-term. And part of our presentation, and those in poverty are 2.5 times more likely to be affected compared to others. And this really says that mental health needs to start from, needs to address everybody, and it affects the disadvantaged people the most. When we normally think of treating mental health, the traditional approach tends to be prevented from happening. This is far cheaper, more effective, and more sustainable. Instead of just handling emotions, we should handle the source of emotions, address the mind-body system as a whole. And Dr. Peter is going to talk about, have an entire session on how to address the mind-body system. Instead of just controlling thoughts, address beliefs. I think transforming our beliefs from life negative cognitions to positive life.
We do not have these incompletions. It gives us more freedom, more empowerment in the present moment so that we can reach our full potential in the future. A key part of this is having powerful cognitions, which are deep insights about yourself and the world that help you unlock your true potential by breaking free from limiting patterns. Let's look at this a little bit more in the next slide. So next slide, please. See, powerful cognitions go beyond positive thinking. They go towards transforming or seeing things while blindfolded using the pineal gland. This actually has been affirmed by research. Scientific research has shown that some people can achieve something like this, which no ordinary person would think of them.
So this presentation is brought to you by Nithyananda Hindu University. I'm representing the research department of Nithyananda Hindu University. And this is a university that is styled after the ancient Vedic, ancient Hindu universities from antiquity. Fields of psychology, philosophy, medicine, sociology. Of course, mental health is covered very widely through this university. This has been reawakened through our chancellor, who I'm going to talk about, Ananda Paramashivam, who is, as per Hinduism, he is an incarnation of Paramashiva, which is the primordial divinity. And starting from birth as a yogi, he has achieved high consciousness and enlightenment and incarnation status. To Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, sometimes as Swamiji, which is a way that we refer to him, which is an address of tremendous respect and tremendous affection because of the positivity he's brought to our life. So, participants, which you'll see some remarkable findings. And then we're going to talk about what is going on in the mind and brain and consciousness of Supreme Pandit of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Parameshivam, who I also call as Swamiji, as well as some of his disciples, and some really remarkable findings that help explain how we've been able to create these. And so the Dr. Rao, he drew blood and measured gene expression before and after the program. And they looked at hundreds of different genes being expressed, and they found huge changes in gene expression in multiple pathways. But the ones I'm going to highlight here are the pro-inflammatory pathways, which create inflammation in the system, which will, at the cellular level, be inflammation, but at the system-wide level will show up as stress and disease. Many of these pro-inflammatory pathways were downregulated. And when I say downregulated, it means like 2 to 7-fold in reduction of the proteins, of the gene products. And then the anti-inflammatory path did this program. Their levels at the end versus the beginning were pretty universally elevated. About half of them, it was double, and replacing damaged cells and structures in the body. So, an injury or just the natural aging, stem cells are used to replenish with fresh cells. And so an increase in that is going to mean more use at a cellular level. The last thing they did, this was not published in that article, but it was around that time. They measured mitochondrial metabolism through a test called the MTT assay, which is a surrogate for cellular viability, which is specifically a product of mitochondrial metabolism. So mitochondria are the organelles inside the cell that create power for the cell, energy for the cell. And so their metabolism was increased. This is actually not a typo. You see it's 967%. It's not a typo, it's really true. Basically 10-fold increase in mitochondrial metabolism. So you would expect that to show up in a massive surge of energy. So when you put together at the cellular level, a huge surge in energy, combine that with anti-aging, rejuvenation, and then reduction in stress. Now we looked at how, because it's through an online program, and then we did a paired and unpaired analysis. So here's what we found. So the total score, per US average, total score is around 18. A higher number means more depression, more anxiety, more stress. So you want a low score in this. For the participants, the score was already much lower than average initially, which may reflect that some people already had taken initiations and were involved in this system and this mind-body approach, but afterwards even greatly reduced. And stress as well went from 4 to 2 or 5 to 3. Over 14 is stress, and the US average is 8. You can see all these graphs on the left. You can see the line graphs is the paired, and then the bar graphs. Both paired and unpaired, highly statistically significant in all of these. So statistically and clinically, very significant improvement in people's feeling of mental health in connection with this program. The next we looked at the WHO. 5 out of the 9 met statistical significance, and they were also clinically significant. I just included a couple graphs here. The total score, you can see it's going up for just about everyone, and then social functioning is going up for just about everyone. So again, increased mental and physical health was seen. And the last one is mindfulness, and this looks at the ability to be present. So this gives you a score from 1 to the gene expression, and then these changes in mental health. So to better understand that, a lot of science has been done with Swamiji, the Supreme Pandit of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Parameshivam. So I'm going to talk about a few scientific studies. First one is done with, I'll go as quick as I can, but it's so valuable and so important. I want to make sure we cover things. So Dr. Krishna at a Jim Thorpe Rehab Center in Oklahoma did PET scans and noticed heightened activity in the frontal lobe or kriya from Sound Health Designs in Wichita, and this was in 2005 and 2006. And they measured studied a variable called heart rate variability, which shows variability within the heart rate that reflects the autonomic system and how at ease someone is. You could say it's very complex. We don't have time to go into it further. But the key finding is when he could completely kind of shut off the mind, and it would show up at the EEG level. That shocked the researcher. And then when he would go into meditation, there would be a huge surge in gamma waves, which we'll talk about shortly, the significance of gamma waves. But the key part is when he was healing, his right heart of brain would go into what the researcher called extreme gamma activity. which I think is likely to be high amplitude gamma waves. The other person be like an initiation. It's putting them in the same brainwave state that's going to have profound effects on their well-being, like the things that we demonstrated earlier. So he was able to transmit it to people he was healing. Some quotes that said from Dr. Collins that he couldn't believe that he said there's no such thing as normal for you. He couldn't believe that his baseline level of mental activity. They talked about the power of the gamma waves in the mind. They take a huge amount of metabolic activity, but both mental waves are very low frequency waves from 0.5 to 4 hertz on the bottom left. This is like when you're in deep restorative sleep, or if you were like in a coma. Theta waves, these are 4 to 8 hertz. These will correlate if you're in REM sleep, if you're daydreaming, if you're in a deep meditation but not sleeping, or very drowsy. This is what you'll have. Beta waves would be, we'll go to alpha waves here. Alpha waves are the next state. They go from 8 to 12 hertz. This is if you're awake and alert and kind of receptive. Could be a listening state. Many of you guys are in alpha right now. If you close your eyes, you go into heavy alpha waves. And then beta waves would be the light bulb goes off. There'll be a little flash of gamma activity, but just for a second, and only when that insight strikes, which you can't bank on, right? It's like when the muse speaks to the artist, like that. It's also connected with enhanced creativity. Interestingly, in populations and individuals who have very little baseline gamma activity, they're much more likely to develop Alzheimer's dementia. In individuals who have a higher baseline, like very low levels, I'm talking that you need a QEEG to detect, they're not going to have dementia. Alzheimer's amount of meditation. This came out in 2004 by Dr. Davidson in Wisconsin, a really breakthrough publication. When they would go into a oneness and compassion meditation, they could go into sustained gamma. That's the only other time that I'm familiar outside of Swamiji and what I'm going to talk about that we've seen sustained gamma. But it was in long-term meditators while they were deep in meditation. You can just do it at will. They describe intense bliss associated with that, intense oneness. I've also seen another disciple who can do slightly lesser at will, and I've seen a few others that go into a very high beta, almost on the cusp of this, that's extremely atypical for normal beta activity. So I see this as progression in their capacity to reflect this state of consciousness in their spiritual growth. And so they would do this by connecting with Swamiji, connecting to a state of oneness, doing things like blindfold reading and materializing. These yogic science, basically, you'll develop good mental health on the road to enlightenment, is how the yogic science works. Lifestyle, sattvic diet, and fasting. Later, another presentation is going to talk about these things. Detoxing with herbs. Puja is a ritualistic connection to higher consciousness. Yoga pada, yoga, and pranayamas and meditations and kriyas will be doing all of these experiential in this presentation. And then knowing pursuit of powerful cognitions means knowing yourself as a very powerful, connected being that is worthy of having this life experience and can express this life experience. And one thing that I think is connected,
which actually denote that kind of a state, right? So there is a meditation. We just wanted to play a little video about a meditation that can help you get to that state and calm your mind down. Like very often we are all filled with anxiety, and this meditation personally has helped me calm myself down in a moment of stress or anxiety. Peter?
Sorry, let me get back there. 1 second.
Maintain, fight with, try to destroy. Anyway, engage. Do not do anything with your internal thought process. Just unclutch. And I tell you, it will develop such powerful will persistence in you. Such powerful will persist. You will sit with yourself in a very matured way, highly matured way. sit with yourself with highest maturity. Creating, maintaining, destroying, fighting, engaging, all thought process.
And so forth. So it's an association of thoughts that creates problem. So then you don't associate them, and then they just become random series of thoughts which don't affect you. That's the whole idea. So initially you can no. So are you sharing the audio from your output from your computer?
Yeah.
While sharing video? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Maybe I'll turn up the volume. Are you able to hear it now?
No.
How about now?
Clutching is your mind gets disengaged. As your mind gets disengaged from thoughts, we tend to listen to the outside sounds more clearly, like bell chiming or people talking, cars going by. That's a positive sign. But understand that even those are thoughts. And next time you try this, unclutch from those also. And when you start unclutching from those thoughts, you will start listening to more of your inner sound, like your breathing becomes more visible to you. Sometimes the blood pumping through your heart becomes more audible to you.
So next slide. So the brain plays a very important role in regulating mood and cognition, not only through activity of certain brain structures, but also pathways or circuits of communication between different brain regions are important. But the gut, in a sense, is the second brain. It has a very extensive nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and there's a communication between the brain and the digestive system, which is two-way, which is really important in mental health. And it turns out lifestyle. So many studies have been done on depression, looking actually at the brain structure. So we've seen that brain, like MRIs show that there's actually atrophy or loss of brain cells in important areas of the brain, areas which regulate memory, learning, and emotion, like the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for attention, planning, judgment, impulse control, the orbital frontal cortex, which is important in regulating our emotions. And it's not only about us, but it's how we bond with other people, how we interact with others, so social attachments. It turns out pain processing pathways are negatively impacting depression. And one way is maybe the cingulate cortex. And even our ability to empathize with others are affected due to loss of brain cells in the cingulate cortex. Also, depression negatively impacts the basal ganglia, which is a part of the brain involved in pathways for reward, motivation, and feeling pleasure. And so we can go on to the next slide. So not only are gone, but it turns out certain practices, especially yoga and meditation, can actually lead to neurogenesis. We're actually generating new brain cells, and this can happen throughout the lifespan. So this in itself is like very groundbreaking information. And it turns out yoga and meditation, which costs nothing, can in fact regenerate areas of the brain. So they've looked at, for example, in yoga practitioners, brain cells in yoga practitioners. Very interestingly, there's an area of the brain called amygdala, and this is involved in processing fear pathways. This is sometimes called it's a important part of our very primitive brain, which is there to protect us, but can become dysfunctional when we have emotional trauma and different sorts of mental disorders. And in fact, this area, interestingly, it ends up being a little bit reduced in volume, telling us that maybe yoga practitioners have lower levels of fear or tendency for fear. And we can move on to the next slide. Now we can move on to what we found in practitioners of meditation. So they have been studied to release beta endorphins. Maybe you've heard about endorphins. These are chemicals which give us the sense of a euphoria or bliss, and may explain why many practitioners of meditation experience a sense of bliss during their meditation. Also, imaging studies have looked at the thickness of the cortex. This contains the brain cells or neurons, and it turns out these regulating our emotion and mood. At baseline, meditators have a higher level of serotonin, which you may have heard about. Serotonin is the brain chemical which is important for helping us to have a sense of well-being, and this level is reduced in people who are depressed. But meditators at baseline have a higher level of serotonin, and it in fact further increases after a meditation session, which is very interesting. They also tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety. And they've been shown to have, and they showed there was a significant improvement in the amount of anxiety and depression that they were experiencing before and after, to the point that many were no longer depressed. And the GABA activity was boosted basically to the same level as people who were healthy and who did not have depression. So this is all very promising findings. You can move on to the next slide. I'll invite Dr. Pandav to discuss the next few slides.
So Dr. Pandav will discuss these slides quickly, and then we'll have a very short video and short discussion to follow. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandav.
Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, and least amount of unprocessed food and meat. So this is what whole food plant-based diet is. We also call it Sattvic diet. So what essentially this diet, it produces neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, glutamate, and microbial composition is crucial. Some contribute to good mental health and others are detrimental and it names few of the bacteria. And also it has positive impact by regulating taurine, cortisol, metabolic pathways, and short-chain fatty acids, reducing stress and anxiety. And last thing I already told, to reduce inflammation and carcinogens, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables versus cooked or canned fruits and vegetables had significantly improved mood. And as I talked about, processed and packaged food are harmful.
reason. Your husband late from the office for 5 minutes is enough to make him as a late husband. Understand? No. For a very small reason, you fall into depression because your biomemory is prone to depression.
Are crucial for mental health. And lifestyle changes are critical and sustainable. And objective scientific information now is available showing that yoga and meditation actually expands parts of the brain which are vital for mental health. And the plant-based diet also improves that brain-gut chemistry to improve mental health. So there's various lifestyle practices in Hinduism, which Swamiji is reviving and promoting. And he's unique in promoting some of these lifestyles, such as Nirahar Samyama.
Which was in order to digest the solid food, it uses body's energy. But when you are taking liquid diet, it's almost like pre-digested. So your body doesn't use energy to digest it. So it brings your energy level up. And it has effects at physical plane, mental plane, emotional plane, spiritual plane. That's what I found. So the least is, you lose weight. And but other than that, so emotionally you feel much better. You feel much lighter, your energy level goes through the roof. And the last, your meditation deepens like amazingly.
Quieter. People around me noticed, I mean, even your skin will start to glow. You'll even appear younger. People would comment on that, wonder what I was doing. And so I definitely also experienced those.
Every summer, allergic reactions. When I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergy. So I had to take antihistamine all the time. And it actually affected my work style as well. So it was, I think, about 12 years ago, Swamiji introduced the Nirahara Samyama, 12, 13 years ago. The first time I did the Nirahara Samyama, after that, it's completely gone. I don't take any antihistamines. I'm complete.
You guys for this discussion. We could discuss so much longer. We've met some time constraints, so we're going to move on to the next session, which is a pranayama breathing exercise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because we are running out of time, I'm going to go through this very briefly. But what Dr. Aranke stressed? So it's a very easy technique. Sit up straight and roll your tongue. And roll your tongue and just put it outside of your mouth just a little bit. And you will actually feel it in your chest, in the middle of your chest. If you don't feel it, try breathing in a little bit more deeper. Continue doing this. The right nostril. And after you breathe out through your right nostril completely, typically you take almost twice as long to breathe out than breathe in. So count breathing in. If you count breathing in 5 times, breathe out till the count of 10. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close your lips. If breathing out makes you feel stressed because I'm asking you to breathe out twice as long, you don't have to do it. Just breathe out till the count of 6 or 7. That's also okay. Whatever makes you feel relaxed. Typically, breathing in the alternate nostril breathing actually makes you feel quite relaxed. Right now, I'm going to only teach you the humming part. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then hum deeply and intensely without stopping. As long as possible, just hum And then when your humming stops, take a quick breath, let the natural breath happen, and then start the humming again. So for example, it sounds like this. Now, while you're doing this, for a more intense hum, you can actually close your ears also. Like put your fingers on your earlobes and close them, and that will intensify the hum because the sound hums inside your head, and very soon you would feel that humming inside your face and in your chest. So the more you practice it, if you do it for like 21 minutes, this humming is a very intense exercise. Great. So these are things you can practice pretty much anywhere. And these are all revived by Swamiji. Swamiji has taken all these ancient techniques and then put them is useful in mental health. Next slide. And the key challenge here is scale. Like sustainable mental health requires scale, and millions need help with anxiety, loneliness, and depression. But the primary challenge is lack of access to resources. And it's like the people who are in poverty, the people who really who suffer more often from mental health issues that, like we shared before, are the ones who are unable to access such resources. At least one thing that everyone needs, like people need a spiritual solution for mental health. And if you think about it, an everyday companion, which is easily available at their fingertips to handle emotions on a daily basis. But maybe even answer bigger. And the beautiful thing is conversational AI can actually help address a wide variety of mental health needs. I want to say for sure here that AI cannot replace human beings. We still need people. And we need AI to address a few challenges, like address privacy, make trust and safety front and center. These are challenges that we are, or the science of happiness, as taught by Hinduism. So this Nithyananda.ai has the entire access to his teachings and the science of happiness and the science of enlightenment as taught by Hinduism. And it can answer questions from that perspective. So with that, let me show you a screenshot. I didn't have time to go through extensive. Teaching is about making sure others are in this state of enlightenment along with you. And completion is what I defined before, right? So it uses these principles to help walk through someone who thinks they are a bad mother because they are spending time at work and not being able to come home. It talks about how being a bad mother or bad wife in a self-reflective way, how to introspect into the source of where this challenge comes from. Why do you feel unimportant? Why do you think your sister should do what you want to do, right? And
a pelvic surgeon from Los Angeles. We have been enjoying last more than an hour of learning so much about mental health, wellness, and holistic approaches. It's my turn to talk about women's 22. The incidence of mental illness among women is increasing. It's pretty alarming. Mental health issues can affect anyone, but causes to women are very unique. Hormonal changes during menstruation, pregnancy, postpartum, and menopause can significantly affect mood and mental health. Reproductive health issues like polycystic ovary, endometriosis, infertility can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. Gender-based violence, women are more likely to experience a year and 217 million days of work lost. It's a big loss of work. And more women are seeking help, but failed outcome. The treatment methods are making people dependent on medication, and more medication, it becomes a vicious cycle. So when we look at the modern day approaches for treatment, it can be varying from psychotherapy to hospitalization, depending on the severity of the mental illness. Actually, it's only the symptom relief. The trillion-dollar brain drain that's not sufficiently addressing the mental disorders. And the other treatments like brain stimulation can be used in special situations where transcranial magnetic stimulation can be used for depression. Sometimes hospitalization when women become proven results by empowering women. So when we go into the depth of the empowering methods before, so let's read this very powerful verses from Manuvati Dharma Shastra. Very powerful words about women. Women, by their very DNA, have the capacity and groundedness to hold an ecosystem or family or a team or a community together. So women have their own intuitive intelligence in the legislative chambers, put their views on forefront. So women hold 80% of leadership positions in Kailasa. While Kailasa's policy stipulates that 33% legislative positions should be held by women, currently women make up 90% of the governance in Kailasa. So when we empower women, they can be great leaders. So women's policy against sexual harassment and exploitation, and it creates the most safest environment for women on planet Earth. At social prominence, Swamiji has worked tirelessly for gender equality, not only in the economic society, but also in the spiritual and religious realm. The Sannyas Sampradaya, the monastic pregnancy, is a great program where it supports pregnant women for having a painless delivery and a blissful birthing experience. So by looking at all this, empowering women's projects happening in Kailasa is very powerful, and through this there is a proven way to
and next word, awaken. Only the feminine energy, sacred feminine, need to be awakened. You already have too much masculine. The whole world is suffering with too much masculine energy. If at all politics can be handed over to women, so much good would have happened to the human society, human civilization. Unfortunately, see, if it was handed over to women, it would have been completely family-based civilization. So naturally, everybody would have had their basic needs.
And being there in women during their most sensitive time, pregnancy, delivery, taking care of all age group women, I want to share only after being part of the Kailasa, multiple initiations from Swamiji, the multi-dimension of myself that we realize, and also that I want to give a true statement here to all the viewers and listeners to hear, that I'm well known for my surgery in my hospital and where I'm practicing. And after being bless every woman all over the world. And here, the science of completion, it's one of the solutions for all mental disorders. It's a meditation technique based on the science of enlightenment revealed and taught by His Divine Holiness. And it works prevent and treat all kinds of mental disorders, not only for women, it's for everyone. It relieves unresolved emotions and past traumas, building resilience. And there is a short video, listen from his powerful words and transmit.
Blurted out, vomited by your immature mind. Listen, pen down. Do completion 2-3 times. Sit with mirror. Actually, I tell you, if you sit with mirror and chant Mahavakya and do completion, you will see me in the mirror. Then all your patterns are complete. Till you see me in the mirror, do completion with the and making you completely complete and making you manifest powerful cognitions and powers. Till I appear in the mirror, continue completion. and I tell you, I will really be internally, externally dependent on something else other than Paramashiva. Bend down. Bend down. Sit in front of mirror and start completing all patterns and incidents, root incidents, everything. Let all the incompletions.
Year-old experience mental disorders, and another alarming number is 13% of this is a global burden of disease in this age group. And suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. And 296 million people globally deaths were attributed to drug use. Can we have next slide? So here are some of the unique challenges for children, which includes physical, emotional. On the previous slide, in Hindu education system, basic tools to awaken knowledge are taught, and other consciousness-based approaches, which were discussed earlier, practiced on a regular basis, including yoga, meditation. Case studies done on students at Nithyananda Gurukul, where Hindu education system is integrated with conventional educational. Here is the result of whole brain activation studies for which Bender Gestalt test was performed. This test assesses visual motor skills development. On the next slide, we have numbers from Sloan IQ test, which is highly validated intelligent test, measures a variety of capabilities, including comprehension, arithmetic, and visual motor capabilities. And these results showed 50% of students with total English immersion in intellectual and mental health, and evidence of whole brain activation and high level of thinking. Policies need to change to integrate such education into conventional curriculum. And of course, as I said, more studies are needed for this evidence, but policies to change and integrate this education into conventional curriculum would be a good, sustainable development. Okay, I hand over to next speaker.
We invite you to collaborate with us to participate in research. Of course, we would appreciate funding. As you can see, there's been remarkable research findings, and all the research we've published has been very remarkable, very outside of the ordinary findings. And we're very sure the more research we do, the more we're going to find things like this. So anyone who wants to collaborate, we'd love to talk to you. My email and Peter Bloomfield, my email, and Sri Mukta Ananda, his email as well. They're both posted at the bottom. Also, policymakers for children's mental health, we invite you to contact us for collaboration for how to incorporate this approach to traditional education and for further research. And then, of course,
a combination of yoga positions, yoga asanas, breathing techniques, and visualization. And Swamiji shared 108 kriyas for a variety of diseases and disorders to alleviate, use in conjunction with other approaches. And this video will introduce the kriyas and what do they mean and why they are so powerful. And
nerve circuit, the nervous system. Prana circuit, the respiratory system. Digestive circuit, excretory circuit, reproductive circuit, and energy circuit. Of these circuits, the energy circuit is governed by the Kundalini energy. Though not spoken much by the medical science, but elaborate references have been given. Then you identify and correct the block. Even if the blockage is removed, water has to be pumped in for the flow to resume. Similarly, when there is a block in the energy circuit in the body, there is impedance to energy flow forward, and it results in disease in that particular organ. The Kundalini,
The energy circulation, the plumbing gets properly aligned. The wiring gets properly aligned. After that, the kumbhaka starts pumping the energy into that circuit. See, putting your body in certain asana makes the circuit blockage free. The circuit becomes perfect. But only through the kumbhaka, the energy gets pumped into the circuit. This is exactly the principle on which kriya works.
Kriyas are a unique combination of asana.
These kriyas are my unique contributions to the world. The kriyas have 7 ingredients. 1, yoga. 2nd, kumbhaka, pranayamas. 3rd, visualizations. 4th, verbalization, means chanting of some mantra internally. See, internally when you create the sound,
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Picture of that posture. There is a posture. I shared a picture yesterday. Do we have that in the slide?
This is the last slide, Mukta.
Okay. I think we need to bring that picture. If somebody can add that picture to the slide, to the next slide that'll be coming. Now we're just going to put them all together into one long kriya meditation. That's super simple. So let's get started. Your right nostril, breathe in through your left nostril, and then close your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril, and then breathe in again through your right and breathe out through the left. This is one cycle. Do this cycle for 21 times. Let's start with that. That's the step 1. Step 2 is this picture. Sit like this picture, holding your knees. Humming coolness all over your body. Just lie down and unclutch from all thoughts. When you unclutch from your thoughts, you will start focusing more on the music and the sound outside of you. Unclutch from that also. But we just wanted to share some experiential, some experiences with you, so you can find out for yourself. So I hope you can practice this meditation before going to sleep every day. It's very powerful, not only in de-stressing, but also in performing to your life's best.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.